What's up? It's your friend Justus West, and I'm here with my friends from Guitar Center to talk about the Universal Audio UAFX Flow. A little bit about me, I'm a 7-time Grammy-nominated musician and producer who's worked with artists such as John Legend, Ariana Grande, Mac Miller, Snoop Dogg, and even Vince Gill. The UA Flow offers 3 distinct modes, Dharma, 65, and Square. That give you very different tonality, but at the same time, it's still inherently tremolo. Dharma is a vibey harmonic tremolo, and my favorite mode, might I add. 65 is a smooth optical tremolo. And then you have Square, which is the exact opposite of 65. It's a very aggressive square wave tremolo. Before we get into the demos, let's walk through the controls on this pedal. So first we have the speed. As you turn it up, the speed of the tremolo will get faster. We have depth, which will affect the depth of the tremolo against your dry signal. And we have volume, which you can turn up or down to compensate for the loss of volume from the tremolo. We also have a dandy tap tempo switch on the back of the pedal. When engaged, you can use the foot switch to set the rate of the tremolo, and the LED will blink to let you know what that rate is. We also have another switch on the back of the pedal, which allows us to change the bypass mode from true or buffered, whichever works best for your signal chain. All right, so let's jump into demoing this awesome pedal. We're gonna start with my favorite mode, Dharma. So before I get into playing, let me tell you what my settings are for this particular progression. So first I have the speed set to about 20% up. I like that speed as it's not too fast to be distracting, but fast enough where you can hear the motion of the pedal. I have the depth way up though, at about 75 to 80%. And I also boosted the volume just to compensate a little bit for the volume loss due to the wetness of the effect. All right, let's get into it. Dharma has to be one of my favorite settings simply because of all that it offers. You've got the tremolo effect, but within that, you've also got a bit of phasing, which adds so much depth to the chords. Definitely makes me want to play soulful and reminds me of groups like the Isley Brothers, getting like crazy vintage R&B tones. For this next progression, I kept pretty much the same settings, except this time I turned up the speed. Let's check it out. That last tone I used was super inspiring because if you think about it, tremolo is like creating waves of motion. And when I hear that, it just makes me want to play super smooth stuff. Boosting up the rate added to me a little more interest into the chords and a little more movement, and could be cool for differentiating a guitar tone in a mix from other things within that mix. Just adds a little bit of flair. Now that we've covered my favorite mode, Dharma, let's move on to the next mode, 65. 65 is based off of an optical tremolo found in a very famous mid-60s American-made amp. Let me show you the setup I'm going to use for this next progression I'm going to play. So first off, we have the speed set at 12 o'clock, which I feel like is a comfortable speed for this. We have the depth turned all the way up because with this being a smoother kind of tremolo, the depth being higher won't be too jarring. Last but not least, I have the volume boosted just a bit to compensate for volume loss. Let's get into it. Can't lie, I said Dharma was my favorite, but 65 is kind of growing on me. One of the distinct differences that I noticed off the bat is the lack of phasing, and the depth of it just comes on a bit smoother. It's a very kind of creamy tremolo that you feel like you're just kind of bouncing along with. And for that, I gotta give it a 10 out of 10. I wanted to show you just how much range even this setting has. So for this progression, I've turned the speed all the way up and I've turned the depth down to about 12 o'clock and the volume's at the same level. Check this out. So this setting is actually super subtle and I love it. It's kind of giving a vibrato-ish, but the depth of it is something that I really can't describe. It just sounds amazing. When I'm playing through the chords, you can't almost hear it at all, but as I let the chord ring out, it subtly starts to introduce itself. Normally when you turn the speed up on effects like this, it becomes something that's maybe not that usable, but in this case, even with the speed all the way up, this is such a usable setting. Last but not least, we have to cover the final mode square. You actually heard that setting in the first progression I played at the start of this video. It's super creative, and I can't wait to show you some more settings that are possible out of it. Okay, for this progression, I set the speed to about 75–80%, and I set the depth all the way up. This is actually super cool. Take a listen. So in the earlier progression I played, I went for a very quick speed, which didn't leave a lot of space in between the tremolo coming back around. In this progression, I slowed it down a bit so you could really hear the depth of the space that the square wave leaves. That's what I think separates it the most from the Dharma in 65, is that the square is giving you a more abrupt cut in between when the tremolo is making its revolutions, which makes it perfect for the kind of progressions I was just playing. And even in an amp, when I'm not running it stereo, you still feel like you're immersed inside the tone. Since I mentioned the depth, I want to showcase it even more. So for this progression, I turned the speed way down and kept the depth up, and the volume is still where it's been at for the past couple progressions. Check this out. I have to say, I said this about 65, and now I'm gonna say about Square, but these modes are really growing on me. I thought Dharma had my heart, but Square might really have it. The fact that you can tap tempo means I can create a very almost sidechain-like effect, commonly found in pop music and electronic music. Using the tap tempo, I could match it to the tempo of whatever song I'm playing along to, and use the space and the depth of that tremolo to make like a really insane guitar tone. I mean, paired with another UA reverb, there's no telling what in the world I could do with that. The capabilities of this pedal are wide and endless. I thought one mode was going to be my favorite, and as I switched between the modes, they all kind of grew on me, but in different ways. And I think that's what makes this pedal such a great grab for your pedal board or for your studio. You can just do so many things, and it's an endless kind of crayon that provides some very interesting effects that you can't find everywhere. And for the record, Square has to be my ultimate favorite. So if you want to learn more about the Universal Audio UAFX Flow, visit guitarcenter.com, call one of their expert gear advisors, or just visit your local GC.